introduce you first and introduce me, or introduce me first and introduce you?
Introduce yourself and what this is,
And then
introduce me.
Okay. And then I'm going to start with questions.
Yeah. Are we good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Alright, so my name is Andrea David. I also go by A for short, or Aye.Blouezz, and we are here at SnapDragon Cafe. This is the second level where we host art exhibitions, private events, and the current show is Eye of the Storm, entering the Eye of the Storm, the Mind of 2020. So this was an exhibition, 2 months, and just like a curation of all different types of artworks. And here we have Cydney, and
Hey.
This is her art piece. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Cydney Williams, and this is Eyes Bound with Intention. And I was honored to be in the show. And this is like perfect COVID-friendly space that allowed people to see some really needed artwork during this time.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of people felt that way as well, and like felt the community space about the show. Well, it gave off a community vibe, and just a space for
Definitely.
people to like come. So yeah, I appreciate that. So maybe can you speak a bit more about your piece?
Yeah, so the Eyes Bound with Intention was birthed in March when COVID really like hit. It came and it came fast and it came hard. And during that time, I lost a job I was just about to start. So I was like cusping turning 26, and this job was, you know, a studio with income and health insurance and all kind of, my buttons would be buttoned and my ties would be tied or whatever the expression is. That's definitely not an expression.
I've never heard
Yeah,
this,
that's
but
definitely
it's okay.
not.
It's okay.
But I had this idea of how my life was gonna be, and all of a sudden, just the wave of COVID hit, and I didn't get into my studio. I wasn't sure really how to handle myself, and every prior way of thinking, every prior pace that I had made my work at just didn't seem relevant anymore. So I was working through ideas of like kind of heartbreak and grief, and just knowing that this was not going to be an easy time. So I started praying a lot and doing a lot more yoga. Like all I did was wake up and get on my yoga mat and count my mala beads, which are beads that I've used as a way to solidify prayer and to stop my mind from kind of panicking. So I counted 108 beads day after day, being like, I really am not getting into my studio because I wasn't sure how to, like, we weren't going anywhere. I think I went to the grocery store once in March or April. Like, there was just there was no at all sense of like freedom. It was just kind of a sense of collective panic. So I was kind of got to a point where I was sick and tired of feeling like not so great, and I was tired of just like hopelessly praying for myself and seeing the news and seeing how so many people are being affected. I started drawing these prayers on little watercolor sheets because I didn't have my studio and had access to a kitchen table that was about the size of what I could work with. So I asked my community 108 prayers of what's helping them through this time.
How'd you ask your community? Like, was it everything was through communication on the phone? Or?
Yeah, so it was my immediate kind of community. So first 10 people were like my family, like Rashad was my first 10 group because, you know, we make art together. He's just down the hall. He's in my like daily path. So it was just, Glenn was like one of the first. It was just a matter of how many people I had access to, and it grew and grew. And the importance of 108 felt necessary to like close the loop. And I was,
How? Why? Why
because there's
that number?
108 beads in a mala bead string.
Okay.
And mala beads hold prayers, so they like, if you count the beads, it's like a rosary bead, but in Buddhist tradition. Not that I'm Buddhist, but I've had a really dedicated yoga practice for more than half my life. And it's been where I go to create a safe place for myself, process my thoughts and my emotions, and able to like face what's going on inside myself and outside the world. So that felt really important to me, that it was this kind of closed loop. It also gave me an end. you know, because otherwise I feel like I could have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
So it was just like a nice number that felt substantial and also felt like it could be a living prayer, like it could close the loop and still exist within like an infinite space.
How long did it take you to complete all of them and, you know, contact everyone?
Till June or July. I think the last one was June or July. It was a lot. They're all hand painted with the person in mind while I was painting it. So it really was individual. Everything, the first circle is meant to be the intention. So it's the space between your eyes. So that's why the eyes are a bit far apart. And the circle is traced with a can of soup because everyone was stocking up on soups and canned food. So I figured, okay, what is uniting us during this time? It's this pandemic. How do you symbolize the pandemic like a can of soup? And then your third eye, or the space between your eyes, is where you hold intentions. So I wanted this collective intention or prayer or mantra to give everybody strength, and to give everybody strength in a way that you didn't need to know the person to know that if they're upholding me and I'm upholding you, they're by default upholding you too. And that your community is always much, 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 much larger than you think it is. And I think in March and April, feelings of isolation were like really prevalent.
Yeah.
And
for everyone.
For everyone. And it was just like a scary time to lose, especially if you're a social person, just like dissolve that kind of aspect of your life like almost overnight.
Yeah, in an instant, you have to sort of get adjusted to that. I was speaking to, let's say a few freshmen in college, and they were saying like how there was no time to adjust. Society just sort of forced everyone into this new reality, and there was no space to sort of get a grasp of yourself.
No, there really wasn't. It was just like, boom, everything's different. And I think in an instant, like I lost all my income. Like I had shows lined up, I had artist talks lined up, I had, you know, I really felt like I was, and as an artist, I think it's difficult because you fight so hard to get anywhere. And then when you have something and it's just like, shoop, it's just like, wow, okay, where do you go now? It's like starting over again and over again. So I think that sense of making small work made me feel like I could make small things to add to a bigger, like I could do small things every day that kept me focused, kept me in a living prayer, kept me connected to my community. And like I didn't make a single one of these without that person like deeply held in my heart.
Okay, so, well, leading on to that, I want to ask you, you spoke about it a bit, but how important is community to you, or do you feel like you're in a artist community, or if you are in an artist community, how is that different from a community? And do you feel like having a community is essential to flourish as an artist?
I think yes. I think it is definitely essential to flourish with your community as an artist, because you make art to say something for the most part, or to illustrate something in the world that you think needs more light. And in order for it to be received, it needs to be received by somebody. Like,
True.
At least for my work, like I don't feel like the puzzle is complete unless somebody is seeing it. But for me, an artist community is much more than like a viewer. It's way more about a collective energy that grounds me in this space where I can comment on what's happening currently. So, and just love and support and just being able to be in something together and know that it's nice to hang out with artists because they have a level of like sensitivity. Do you think that camera clicked?
If the time is still going.
The screen's off.
Oh shit.
The card full, it says.
That's impossible, unless the video is too long.
I was trying to, like...
Is my phone not working either?
Are you on the Wi-Fi or something?
Oh man, you're live. I'm about to stop the live.
Yeah.
Well, on the live, it's just been showing me this.
Let me see.
It's like filming on your phone, but...
Is it?
Is your phone connected to the Wi-Fi here?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Oh,
Wow. So we had none of that recorded, you think?
Oh no, people are watching.
Oh.
Hey Ed.
We can continue.
This is like
This is post 2020.
Yeah, this is 2021. It still feels like 2020. What has changed?
Well, can we
yeah.
kind of like
We'll
dive into the next question?
Yeah,
I
we'll
wanna
totally
talk
dive into
about-
the next question.
But most of this is not only artists. This is like the people that support me, uplift me, and a lot of them are artists, but like a lot of them aren't. You know, like a lot of them are my family and my friends that just like are a part of this world with us. And I think all of it's important. I think community beyond artists and community with artists are important. I think being the bridge between artists and community is really important.
That's true, because you need to connect the everyday people to the art world, and the art world or the artists need the everyday people, the love, the
Support, the
everything.
seeing,
yeah.
you know, the like serious like understanding and seeing needs to happen from all parties.
I think also like artists allow every other, like let's say people who don't necessarily are into art or see art, once they are exposed to it, it opens up their mind, or it allows them to heal in ways that they don't like, even understand. So as artists, we give everyone else that chance to dive into themselves a little bit more, because not everyone can do what artists do.
Yeah.
So
And I think an artist's job is to hold space. Like I sat in whatever space this was for months, you know, and that hopefully in view somebody can see this and see how they are a part of the community and how they're deeply sewn into one another, whether they see it or not, and hopefully that makes everyone feel a little bit less alone.
So how important is space for you in your practice?
Literally the most important.
Like I need all the space all the time.
I'm really sensitive. I need space to breathe, space to move, space to think. I need quiet space. I need it all. I really do.
What's your, do you have an art space? Everyone may not know if you have a studio or not. What's your
Yeah.
studio like?
I am an artist in resident at Mana Contemporary in Jersey City. I have been there since May 2019, which I'm really fortunate about, and I've been really like blessed with that space. It's a free artist space for me. I was chosen by 2 curators who believe in me and gave me a platform, which I really, really, really value. And I think it helped me call myself an artist even. I think without, like in a weird way, it's like where's that point where you call, yeah, I don't think I was gonna call myself an artist without my old boss and these like it was a lot of things for me to feel like I can hold that title, because I think a lot of people call themselves artists now, and it's a really kind of a confusing way to navigate.
That's kind of true. 2020, going into this year, I kind of went through like a little ego death, and I kind of realized I needed, it's not necessary for me to call myself an artist to be an artist, but at the same time, when you're, you know, in society, if you're not calling yourself an artist, no one will
Who
respect
is?
you as an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And who will see you as an artist. And it's a very complicated space, I think, to navigate.
But having your own space allows you to navigate that however you please.
Absolutely, absolutely. Showing up to my studio allowed me to stop limiting myself and stop giving excuses. When I showed up to a blank room every day, whatever I was bringing with me was me.
True. So that allows you,
To deal with my shit.
it forces you to be vulnerable with yourself.
Yeah.
So, how has 2020 affected your art making process or your state of mind?
I don't know. I'm crumbling. No, 2020
was a hard year. It was a hard year to have it be my first year as like a full-time artist, whatever that means. Financially, I don't think it was exactly what I anticipated. And it also made me realize that signing up for this life of being an artist is accepting, moving on, realizing there's just a lot of rejection involved, and that's okay. And that's fine. you know, and you have to be strong enough to handle it and to move on and to just keep making the work that is calling you at the moment, because hopefully it will call somebody else. If not now, maybe someday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this work was nice because it called through it was the start of the pandemic, so it kind of highlighted a lot of things that have happened through 2020. So it, for me, is like a living timeline that I can see my friends at, and that I can look at one of these and say, oh, that's what they were thinking.
It's like recalling what that space was like.
Yeah,
That moment.
yeah. Even my friend Virgo, who's the only black and white one, his was militant, because it was in the middle of the Black Lives Matter protests. And that is now involved in COVID. You know, it has always been involved in COVID, and it's nice that I could see a timeline and see how people are seeing themselves in 2020 and trying to be more honest with themselves. I feel like a veil was lifted in 2020.
Yeah.
And this was a way of kind of living in that moment.
And for people to face themselves, look at themselves. So your piece, the show is called Entering the Eye of the Storm, the Mind of 2020, and this is my first time to have a platform to curate a show independently by myself, like full range. So I had full control of the space, full control of the type of art, and just full control of like how to organize everything in this space. And I'm very grateful for that, and I was happy to meet you, and sort of you reached out. We kind of met and we met at the same time for the show, and seeing this piece, I never saw a piece like this, and I thought it was really unique. And it, as I kept going into the organizing the work for the show, I felt like this would be perfect, because as you enter the second floor of SnapDragon, you see this first, and I don't know, the eye of the storm. So 2020, I feel like the whole year we were sort of like, something kept on happening and we didn't know where it would lead us. So I felt like the whole year we were in a storm, in the eye of the storm, and we don't know when it's going to end. So 2020 exposed, a lot of people got exposed to them. A lot of people got exposed to themselves.
Do you think it's still going?
Probably not.
No. Okay.
A lot
I'll record the live.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
A lot of people got exposed to themselves. The government, Black Lives Matter, police brutality, like a lot of things got exposed. So we're seeing everything. We're on our technology, we're on our phones, so we're literally seeing everything. And I felt like this sort of represented that in a way for this show specifically. For all of us to see each other, but to see ourselves and to look at the time that we are in, and also to look within, because you mentioned like the space for the third eye. What's your intention? How are you going to make yourself better, or what are you going to do for yourself? And then going into 2021, we all sort of are hoping for better days, and we don't know what's going to happen.
And we don't know when they're going to come.
Yeah.
And I think an intention is a really powerful idea. I think everything is planted in your thoughts, and it grows. It grows into your reality, whether it's conscious or not. So if you can find space within your body to listen to what's happening.
True, that's hard.
I believe it's time consuming. It's hard because you don't want to see everything. Like, that's natural. Like, you don't want to see the things that are hard. You don't want to see the things that you deeply need to change. And you also definitely don't want to see your own conditioning. And I think taking responsibility and accountability for your intentions is a really powerful act.
I felt like the most important change that we needed in 2020 was for all of us to start within ourselves. Like, the most important change was the change within our individualism. So what was going on within each and every one of us. Once we started to look at that and change ourselves, I believe like that was the only way for us to actually like see change. Because, for example, you know, I'm not gonna get into politics, but like, if someone like, you know, the president, if he would look at himself, look at himself, he would, you know, be able to fix some things. But
I think it's too far gone.
yeah, but a lot of us, especially like you know, in our own communities, if we were to take the time to look at ourselves and then, you know, speak to our brothers and sisters, speak to our fellow people, that's how we would be able to change. So, yeah, but moving forward, now we're in 2021. How did you go into 2021? What was your mind state like, and where is your art as far as like your intentions?
Yeah, I went into 2021 making a freak flag, like making a political flag. That's where my art went, because I think this over-labeling, oversimplifying, overboxing, separating communities, not addressing common goals, is just tearing us apart. And I think we need to like strip everything down and see. I guess the freak flag that I made was a way, okay, our flag represents land, like marrying people to land, you know? We need to honor our land. We need to take accountability and responsibility that we share this place, and that all of our actions inevitably affect one another. And it's the same kind of principle of sewing everyone together. You know, there's people from all over the country in this, from all over the world in this, and they're sewn together in the same community. A flag should sew us together to land, and that relationship should be respectful. It should be sustainable. It should be where equal rights has the priority, not the boundaries that separate us. It should be freedom. And I think I went into 2021 trying to activate my voice, spending a pretty quiet 2020 in a way that would allow people to just see different perspectives. So not to see people as Democrats or Republicans or from a community or not, from the country, from the city, whatever it might be, but to see what we want as humans. What do we want for our children? And can we act from that place instead of anger? I went in a little hopeful. I wonder if that's wearing off. I don't know. I'm trying to.
I think it can be like everlasting. Obviously, different things are gonna build or come into place as far as like our emotions and mental state. But I feel like hope is everlasting.
Yeah.
As long as you hold that.
As long as you cultivate it.
Yeah.
And give it space. Right? Like space.
Yeah.
Space is huge, you know? You could do a lot with space. And I just went into 2021 trying to honor what makes me particularly function from a heart space.
Heart space?
I think like to over conceptualize the world using your mind is not practical. Like the world is really big, it's really complex. And I think if all of us move a little bit more into how can we create loving actions that are intertwined and bigger and fueled from a place that is kinder instead of maybe more practical. I'm not sure. I don't really know. I'm still working a lot of stuff out all the time. That's why I have to do so much yoga to be a normal person. And I'm never gonna be a normal person.
A lot of us aren't normal. It's okay. As long as you accept it.
Yeah, right.
Then that's normal. That's what makes you normal. Well, so how does your yoga practice sort of like, does that have to do anything with your art practice in a way?
Yeah, it's everything. All interconnected. It's where, everything moves through my body. And I mean, making art is a really physical thing, right? Like you're using your body to translate an idea. So if the energy is able to move around in my body, then it's able to come out more intentionally, like more steady for me. At least like, especially if you're working on big work, I feel like it's a really embodied experience.
Okay, let me think. Let's see. Okay, so as far as your work being displayed in SnapDragon, how do you see SnapDragon being a resource for you in the future, or how would you like to grow this space and other spaces?
This space is amazing. It has just, it's amazing. It has incredible energy. it feels like the building itself is really old, so it
Yeah, it has
feels,
a lot of history.
yeah, it has a lot of history. And the community that showed up for this opening was able to hold space for each other in a way that other artist spaces, I feel like, are often competitive and not, or like you just, I don't know, this felt really supportive, and I would love to see this place survive, keep making, keep seeing things happen, and people to like show up and experience it here, because it's great.
Yeah, I feel like because this space is not your typical like art gallery, the work that's in here, I feel like the artwork can become alive because there's people who are in here day in and day out, and I don't know, it's just the space, the walls, the lighting, the furniture, it just gives it a different feel to the artwork. It allows you to look at it from a different perspective than the standard white walls. I'm not saying like that's better or worse, it's just a different perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you can feel the person behind each work here a little bit more.
It's interesting.
You know? Like, I don't know. I'm just looking, maybe it's because I met a lot of these artists, and I'm not.
Do you feel like the opening gave you that opportunity, or
Yeah.
have you met them?
Well, yeah. I met a couple people just because they're Jersey City people.
Mhm.
Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of those people I've never met before. And it was really nice to like, it was also just so needed. That day was so needed.
I was.
And everyone was wearing a mask and being respectful and like playing by the quote unquote rules, you know?
You guys were up here most of the time.
Yeah, but we were hanging on the stairs for a lot of it, watching.
I didn't
the
really
performances.
have a chance to be up here, and I only had like a few moments, and I was like, it's a whole atmosphere up
Yeah.
here. It's nice.
Yeah, it was a vibe.
Yeah.
Definitely a vibe.
Okay, so maybe like 3 more questions. I think we sort of talked about this. Space is the most important thing for you as an artist, you would say?
And just experience, like being open. Being open to like feeling it all and not being so afraid. I think like knowing that things come in waves.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just, but it's also like, in a way, it's so natural. It's like everything has an ebb and a flow. And I think being able to surrender deeply to the ebbs and flow of society, allow your work to be truthful in a way that isn't just commercial.
I agree. Do you think there has been any gains or losses for you this year, 2020?
2020? I think I gained a lot more insight on what it means to be a young artist in a hard time.
Is there emphasis on young?
Young meaning like I really am not established in any way, shape, or form. Like everything feels ephemeral. Like I haven't built a platform that is necessarily sustainable. Like everything is requiring pivots and moves and putting myself out there. I think at all stages of your life you have to put yourself out there, but I feel like it has shone a light on a difficult path and one that I'm committed to. And you sacrifice a decent amount following your heart or following your passion or following what you feel like is your way.
Yeah, and get a lot of back.
Yeah.
Flash.
You do, and I think, and I thought 2020 would look different.
A lot of people did.
Like
it was a shock.
Yeah.
Rocked a lot of
Yeah.
the world.
And I realized that you meet your moment, and you cherish your moment, and you jump in cold water, you jump in any form of water when you have to reset.
True.
You just get yourself to a point where you have to let go. You have to let go of any expectation. And 2020 eliminated the container that I thought I was in and revealed a really big world that has a lot of wounds and needs a lot of work.
That's a strong ending statement. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I'd like to share that this piece can connect you to a community, that this place can connect you to a community, that you're never alone, and that this is a really difficult time for a lot of people. A lot of people are dealing with not only individual grief, but collective grief, and it's okay to be honest with your grief. It's okay to feel your feelings, and it's okay to reach out to the people that you love, and it's okay to realize that your community is way stronger and way bigger than you ever could imagine. That's that.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, your
Do
conversation.
I need to do anything to save it, or do I just close
Yeah,
it?
save it if you can.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, save and see if you can send it or.
Is it still recording?
Yeah, it's live right now. I just didn't want
Oh, fucking A.
I don't want to hit X and then be screwed.
I think you click X to save it. I think you have to get out of it. Yeah, and now.